Hey guys, welcome back to Sports with Mono and Mono. Jim and Steve to my right on the screen. Steve, welcome back after your week of technical difficulties.
Yes, I'm glad to be back. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the show.
6-4-22, right? And beautiful. When you talk about weather, New Jersey kind of gets a bad rap. It doesn't get any better anywhere than it is today. This is San Diego weather in New Jersey today.
I concur.
Yep, it's
I
awesome.
hate the winter. This is what I love.
Oh, I loathe the winter. I loathe you, Jerry. So, Steve, you got the monologue this week, which is sponsored, of course, by Coriano Trucking of Summerhill, New York. Take it away, kid.
Well, it's really all We're going to cover the New York Rangers, but I got to tell you, as a Ranger fan, which everybody knows I am, I try to be as objective as possible with the NHL. But the Final Four right now couldn't. I think they're the four best teams, and I
Sure.
really want to put a shout out here to Chris Drury for my monologue, if you will. Now, Chris Drury, I think a lot of people remember his resume. Started at 12 years old, right, for Trumbull, Connecticut, to win the College World Series, right?
Little League World Series.
Little League World Series, my apologies. And then, Chris goes on to Boston University, where, a lot of people know I attended. And what does he do? He wins the Hobie Baker Award and leads the Terriers to the national championship. Then what does he do? He goes to the NHL and Stanley Cup winner with the Colorado Avalanche, right? So when the Rangers made the big change last year and ushering out Davidson and Jeff Gordon, who did a fantastic job with this rebuild, you have to give them full credit. But Chris Drury's deadline trades here in his first year, getting Tyler Mott, Andrew Copp, and Frank Vetrano especially,
Yeah.
has really solidified the Rangers as um, not really anymore as an underdog here because you have
Contenders.
Chris Kreider and Mika Zibanejad producing on that first line, and the young kids with Lafreniere and
Heedle.
Capo, yeah, and they're up 2-0, but Carolina was up 2-0. So let's not count our chickens against defending Stanley Cup champions here,
Yeah.
and one game at a time. But my
Good.
monologue specifically is about Chris Drury and just a winner that he is. He's smart, and the Rangers couldn't have a better guy in charge of running the organization.
Good monologue. Good shout out because and yes, we're gonna. You know what? We're gonna jump into the NHL next in the playoffs. But you're absolutely right on this. I mean, this kid, he's like to me like Sidney Crosby. He just wins wherever he goes, and he really has done an unbelievable job. And you're right, the kid line, right? Lafreniere and Heedle, and you're right, but these trades with this Frank Vetrano, I mean, what a revitalization of his career, that kind of thing. And Tyler Mott, and we look at the Rangers, and right, we got arguably the best goaltender in the NHL, right? He'll certainly win the Vezina Trophy. We know
He's going
that.
to win the Vezina Trophy. This kid, Igor Shosturkin,
Right.
is really special. And I think he's only 25, 26 years old.
Right.
And there's a crazy stat a lot of people don't know about this. Him playing in Russia even before he came to the Rangers, his
Yep.
record is like a
Yeah.
ridiculous, like 150 and like 30 or something.
No, I know. It's crazy.
It's incredible. It really is. And here's another funny thing. I've been asking a lot of Ranger fans, hey, do you remember a guy named Frank on the Rangers? We can't think of anybody.
What's the
Named,
name?
well, Frank Vetrano on the Rangers.
Oh, a
Can't.
guy
I
with a
can't.
first name named
I
Frank.
can't remember a Frank playing for the Rangers, and the only Frank I can really think of is Frank Mahovlich from the Montreal Canadiens.
Because that's probably the only one.
Right.
I can't think of one either. But Steve, back to this playoff series, and you're right. When you look at the Rangers, and they're young, no question, and this is kind of Cinderella that they've gotten this far, but look where they came from, right? Elimination against down 3-1 against Pittsburgh and down 3-2 against Carolina. And, you're absolutely right. If you're a Rangers fan, you got to say, wow, we are building something really special here. And when you looked at the matchup with Tampa Bay, Rangers beat them 3 times this season. And of course, Gerard Gallant, the orator that he is, says that means nothing. Of course it doesn't. But I was looking at the matchup, and you got the 2 best goaltenders in the league. Vasilevsky, arguably the best goaltender in the world, right? But I got to tell you, the first 2 games, I mean, either the Rangers were that good, but this guy Vasilevsky was letting in goals that the greatest goaltender in the world doesn't let in. So something's a little, either he's hurt or something, and the Rangers have taken advantage of it. We've been waiting how long for this Philip Hedl to come around, right?
Yeah.
Wow.
Right.
No.
Right. But
But when you look at it, you got Fox on defense, he is an unbelievable puck handler for a defenseman. It really is. And then you got
Adam Fox got hurt a little bit towards the latter part, midway through. So there was a stretch where he was being mediocre, if you will. But when I tell you Adam Fox has stepped up his game, he is playing. He's actually exceeding his Norris performance of last year, which is great for the Rangers. It's really good. And again, before the season started, I wanted Gerard Gallant as the head coach of the New York Rangers.
You called it.
He has not disappointed.
No, he is.
And again, I want to say Chris Kreider. During the rebuild, a lot of people know I was all for let's trade Kreider, right? But Chris Kreider, we've talked about it. He's now about 30, 31, 32. And this guy has now had 60 goals combined with the playoffs.
Yep.
So if Kreider, Zibanejad on that first line continue doing what they're doing, things are looking really good for the New York Rangers. And Ryan Lindgren is an outstanding defenseman. Keandre Miller has been playing lights out.
Trouba,
Jacob, I was going to finish with Jacob Trouba. These thunderous hits, legal hits too, that he is throwing out there is really, it's so it's everything. The Rangers are clicking on all cylinders.
Right.
So again, one game at a time. But as we shift to the Avs and the Oilers, the Avs are up 2-0.
Yeah.
And Edmonton comes home now. Connor McDavid is a super special player. Let's see if Edmonton can come back and make a series of this.
And that's exactly what we're talking about here. If the Rangers can manage to get through Tampa Bay and make the finals, they got to face one of those 2 teams. And you've been touting the Colorado Avalanche for all season long, and we know their track record, right? I mean, you mentioned Drury was on that championship team, and but they've kind of underachieved since then, and they got Nathan McKinnon, one of the best players in the league. But that would be great. I'm a little surprised that Edmonton's down 2-0 right now. But again, 2-0 in hockey, 7-game series means absolutely nothing. When the Rangers were down 3-1 against Pittsburgh, nobody gave them a chance. And I just love watching this Draisaitl and McDavid and McKinnon. I just love watching these guys. So either way, the NHL Finals is going to be awesome.
Right.
One without question.
Yeah, the NHL is exceeding expectations right now, and I'm thrilled with it.
And I got to tell you, guys like listeners like Diego from our show, he wasn't always a hockey guy, but he actually sent me a text. He's watching these games and going, "This is way better than I even thought it was. It really was." And I said, "That's what I've been telling you for 35 years since I know you."
Right. Yep. There's nothing like being in the crowd for an NHL playoff game, because the fans' adrenaline is just and when you talk about root for the home team, this is it.
I get you. And Steve, one other thing before we move on to the NBA, I wanted to talk about this because we're watching it, and I got to give shout out to this Sean McDonough calling games. He is awesome.
Oh, he's
And he
great.
doesn't get any recognition for being that hockey play-by-play guy. We know his record. He's a Boston guy, son of Will, and we know that. What a great job. I enjoy listening to him and Ray Ferraro. I think it's great.
I do too. Yeah, Sean McDonough. You mentioned Will McDonough for our audience. Will McDonough, longtime Boston Globe columnist,
With the hat.
right? And he was known for covering the NFL. Really, was his
Yeah.
forte. But Will McDonough is one of the all-time great sports journalists out there, and his son Sean has just had a great career. I mean, he's probably been doing this now. It's got to be close to 25, 30 years now.
And it doesn't look like he's aged one day in
That's
25,
right.
30 years. I mean,
Right, and Sean was actually born when he was like 12 too. So
Yeah. But I wanted to shout out to him because I enjoy him calling the game. It actually, he gives a lot of insight, a lot of history, a lot of trivia, that kind of stuff. It's good.
absolutely, he doesn't talk over. He just
No.
a true professional.
Big time. So Steve, let's move on to the NBA. And I know since the last show, right, the Celtics went to Miami, won game 7, move on to the championship round against the Golden State Warriors. And I got to give you credit. You stuck with Boston the whole time. And I think the thing that stood out to me the most with that series, that the Miami Heat, the shooting was just absolutely deplorable to the point where you're not going to beat, a great defensive team if you can't make buckets. And then Boston runs down the court. Al Horford, Smart, they were all draining threes. Nobody would miss. Jason Tatum, and they deserve to be in the NBA Finals, no doubt.
Yeah, there's no question that we've talked about Boston since really the All-Star break. They've been the best team in the league. There's no question. The biggest thing a lot of people are forgetting is that Brad Stevens left the sideline to go upstairs and replace Danny Ainge. And Brad Stevens is this guy.
Yeah.
This guy is the perfect guy to have running your franchise. Okay, this guy's resume is impeccable.
Right, but how about the coach, this guy Aduka? I mean, what a job this guy has absolutely done.
He's done a fantastic job. He's well qualified.
Yep.
He's put in his time, and the players love this guy. When you talk about a player's coach, this guy's a player's coach.
Yep.
Tatum is bought into him, and Smart, and
they all
Jaylen,
have.
Yeah. And Jaylen Brown, and
yep.
Again, one game at a time. Let's not discount who they're playing, the Warriors. But Boston did what they needed to do in game 1 and get a victory out on the coast at the beginning of the series.
Yeah, of course.
But this game, this is going 6 or 7.
No doubt.
Question about it.
No doubt. And because I actually, my pick, I don't know if we even discussed it last week because we didn't know who the finals was going to be. I'm sticking with the Golden State Warriors. I just think that trio of Curry, Thompson, and Draymond Green, I think he's going to be, if he doesn't get thrown out of a game or get 3 technicals, which he will, but I still think that the Golden State Warriors can figure out a way with the way they can shoot the ball. Thompson and Curry, that 1-2 punch of just 3-point shots, and they just don't miss them. But Boston's been hitting theirs too. So I'm going to stick with them. I'm assuming you're sticking with the Celtics for this.
No, there's no reason why I wouldn't stick with the Celtics. Absolutely.
Okay. Yeah. An interesting thing, Steve, came up. I was listening to something on the radio, and I think it's a foregone conclusion. The league wants Stephon Curry to get his finals MVP. So, come hell or high water, they need to give it to him. But then the conversation came up, is he in the top 10 of all time, the top 75 NBA players? And, a guy, Kendrick Perkins, who you and I like, we watched him play. He's got a ring with the Celtics. But he actually said, and I couldn't agree more, that Steph Curry doesn't need to win a finals MVP to solidify himself as an all-time great. especially obviously as a shooter. But somebody said, but if he got the Finals MVP, would that move him into the top 10 of all time? And then somebody, and I'll actually bring it out. It was actually Michael Kay said, okay, so he wins the Finals MVP. Who do you take out of the top 10 to move Stephon Curry in there? And the answer was nobody. He's one of the all-time greatest shooters, but he's not going to replace Jordan, James, etc. Right? You know, Bird, and then so. But it was funny because they really want. That's one piece that's missing from Stephon Curry's career as a Finals MVP, and I think he wants it, and he's going to go out and try to get it, but they got to win the series to do it. Otherwise, it's going to be Jason Tatum.
I think that the discussion about this is not nonsensical. Stephen Curry doesn't need a Finals MVP to what enhance his resume.
That's the point. That's exactly the reason I brought it up.
My point is, for those that are on the other side and think that he does, absolutely not.
Right.
And is he in the top 75? Of course he's in the top 75.
Absolutely.
But as far as the top 10, let's talk about the top 10. A lot of people, it's always Jordan, it's always Jordan, LeBron, it's this, that, and the other. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, so for some reason, doesn't, I think, get the.
No, he gets it. People know that he's.
No, but when I have this discussion with a lot of people, Kareem's name doesn't. It's not Kareem is the best of all time, which is is a very makeable argument. Okay.
Right. So let's go down the list and say, right, we got Jordan, James, Russell, Chamberlain, Robertson, right, Jerry West, Larry Bird,
Magic,
Exactly.
But again,
so there is no room for Stephon Curry to actually move one of those guys out of the top 10.
Right, and the reason it is these guys were all around basketball players, right?
Yep.
Like, defense and so on and so forth. But Stephen Curry is just an incredible basketball player.
Unbelievable shooter. One of the best.
He's the best of all time. It's not even a debate anymore.
Who would we sneak in just behind him, right? Got to put Maravich or Jerry West, those guys in there, right?
As far as what, shooters?
Yeah, that kind of shooter. Like this guy can shoot it from anywhere on the court. I remember Pete Maravich. I told you, I saw him score like 71 points in a game against the Knicks, and it was amazing. And that's what we're seeing with Stephon Curry today.
Right. Like Michael Garvey just chimed in. Lou Alcindor, right? Absolutely. Yeah. I'm a Lou Alcindor guy, but that's his name now, Kareem, etc.
Right. Power Memorial legend.
Right. Like UCLA. But Pete Maravich, again, was the most special talent with a basketball I've ever seen. I mean, his stuff at LSU, his dribbling ability, his passing ability, his shooting ability was just off. I've never seen anybody like Pistol Pete.
Yeah.
Right. But did that translate to a team game? Not necessarily.
No.
Right. But if your question is from a shooting perspective and pure, basketball ability, Pete Maravich was just off the charts.
Yeah. No, but it's great to see. And I'll tell you, this guy, Klay Thompson, can shoot the lights out of the ball too. It's amazing. Really
yes, he can.
So they got the team. And I'm going to tell you this. How about the one guy that's just completely turned his career around is this guy, Andrew Wiggins, right? I mean, he was like the number one pick in the draft. And then, he was kind of a bust. What a series he's having. What a player he's developed into.
No, the expectations of Andrew Wiggins coming into the league was LeBron-esque type of thing. Like, this guy is a can't miss.
Yeah.
But Andrew Wiggins, I never considered him to be a bust. I think it took a while for him to land finally in a spot where his talent can take over. But that's why the Warriors are where they are. And you got to credit the Warriors like Jordan Poole and Evan Andrew Wiggins,
Absolutely.
to replace, you know, a Kevin Durant, if you will. I'm not comparing him to Kevin Durant, but
Understood.
a piece of the jigsaw puzzle.
Yep.
Golden State is really, I listen. I'm not going to be surprised if they win the title, but I'm not discounting Boston, the momentum
Yep.
they had, and I'm still going with Boston.
But just to wrap up the NBA and the comment from Mike Garvey, of course, Lou Alcindor, and we get it. I think me, you, and Mike could probably have a consensus agreement that Michael Jordan was the best basketball player of all time.
Yeah, me, you, Mike, and anybody that's watched
Okay.
basketball.
Enough said.
I don't think it's debatable.
Enough said. So let's move on from the NBA and listen, enjoy the finals because it's going to be, like you said, Steve, probably a 7-game series. So.
Yeah, the only thing about the finals that I'm not particularly liking is the length in between games. I mean, it seems like the Warrior Celtics, was like 2 weeks ago for Christ's sakes, and Game 2 is not till tomorrow night.
And I'm telling you right now, because I brought this up 1,000 times. The NHL, these guys beat the crap out of each other, and they get 1 day off. The Rangers have played 31 games in 62 days.
Correct.
The NBA, that's a point I've made 1,000 times. Thanks for bringing it up.
Yep.
Let's move on to Major League Baseball, Steve. And I guess the big stories right now is Trey Turner and Paul Goldschmidt have hitting streaks, right? 25 plus kind of
26
thing.
now for Turner after last night.
Okay, and I'm going to go on record as saying that Joe DiMaggio's record will not be broken by either one of those two players. Agree or disagree?
I can see one of these guys getting
35.
Yeah, I was going to say as high as 40. I think. Because listen, Paul Goldschmidt is a professional hitter, man. This guy.
Okay, but he's not. He's not a Hall of Famer, though. I mean, that's going to break.
I think Paul Goldschmidt is trending. Yeah.
Up for debate. I'll have to look at his stats career-wise.
Right. But again, the fact that Trey Turner has a 26-game hit streak. Again, what did we do last year?
Yeah.
Why would Washington trade Trey Turner to the Dodgers?
Well, that was the Nationals fire sale last year.
I understand that, but if you get a fire sale, why would you fire sale this
guy? Agreed, and he's that kind of scrappy hitter that it could get to 40 because he could bunt, he can get infield hits, he could squeak out a hit.
Exactly.
Kind of yeah,
that's a good point. That's a good point for the audience. There's no question.
Yeah. But that, those are like I said, 56 games. And I can't remember the exact number, but I think Joe DiMaggio, when his streak ended, the next game he started another 25-game hitting streak. That's unbelievable.
That's right. And again, the game that DiMaggio lost the streak in, he ripped one down the third base line. Ken Keltner was the third baseman for the
Cleveland Indians,
and just made like a Greg Nettles type play in the World Series against the Dodgers, in '78, I think it was.
Yeah.
But DiMaggio's streak is that's tough to beat. Tough.
Yeah, but that's good for baseball, and there was a story, Stephen, I had in my notes because I was going to bring it up today, saying Joe Girardi is probably going to get fired. And then he got fired yesterday. So just for the record, it was going to be on Sports with Mono and Mono as breaking news, but it broke before we came to air.
Yeah, listen, this is not surprising in the slightest. Joe Girardi is not for everybody. Let's be real.
Exactly.
Like Joe Girardi won, obviously the manager of the Yankees 2009, won the World Series. Okay. Joe Girardi is a professional baseball guy. But Joe Girardi, his personality really
rubs people the wrong way.
And let's be real, he's had 3 years there. The Phillies have invested a lot of money and talent, and it just wasn't working. It just wasn't
And
working.
it's not Joe Girardi's fault that this bullpen comes in and gives up. You know, I actually made a statement last week saying if the Mets played the Phillies all 162 games, they would probably win 140 of them because the bullpen just can't get anybody out. So it cost Girardi his job. And like you said, his resume, rock solid. His personality, tough to deal with at times. But, you know, he'll get another job at some point. He's that kind of a manager. He's a technical.
Down the road he will. And again, you know, true to form, the Phillies fire him. What did they do last night? I think they won like 11-0. You know,
10-0.
You know, whatever. Harper 2 home runs and Schwarber,
Right.
and so on and so forth. So
And it was the largest shutout 10-0 game for an interim manager since 1902.
Yeah. And it's Rob Thompson. And Rob Thompson has been in the Yankee dugout forever. Rob Thompson, I remember him as a San Francisco Giant infielder.
Yeah, he was a very good hitter.
He's a baseball guy. He's got the job for the rest of the year. The Mets are just playing, you know, and the lead that they have. I can't see Philly making a run, but I can see Philly, you know, rebounding and playing better baseball.
I can't see that, but I think, you know, listen, Atlanta's still the team that could, you know, come in second, but that Mets lead, and they just don't seem to lose right now. I tell you, we talked about it, but
they're out in LA and they lost the first 2 to the Dodgers. So, you know, I think we're going to foreshadow that as come playoff time.
That's the preview. That's the preview of the National League Championship.
I would think so at this point. You know, and again, it all depends on health, especially if
Jacob
DeGrom comes back and Scherzer's healthy. I mean, you're talking about, you know, that's good stuff, man. Dodgers, Mets to come.
And then, listen, you know, besides the Dodgers, the Mets, and the Yankees, you know, all the other teams are just hovering around 500, and so, you know, these are clearly. But how about the pitching staff of the New York Yankees and what they're accomplishing right now? I mean, with Taillon, Cole, Cortez, Montgomery, this is a pitching staff that's like the old Dodgers with Koufax and Drysdale and, you know, Don Sutton, maybe, you know. Pretty good.
Listen, folks, before the season started, again, I'm not backtracking. I had no way I foresaw what the Yankees are doing.
You and I both. Not even close.
I'm being completely honest. But what I'm watching is they can't lose. It's unbelievable what we're watching, the streak of what they're doing. Yeah. And you know, we talked about Aaron Judge ad nauseum, but Aaron Judge is having an MVP year, and if he stays healthy, you're looking at the MVP. I got to give Aaron Boone credit. A lot of people don't like Aaron Boone, but he's just pushing the right buttons.
No,
right now the Yankees are on absolute fire.
Right, and right now, I mean, Judge hit his 20th home run last night, which, by the way, we've talked about this. It was on Apple TV, so we couldn't watch it unless you pay. You know, exactly. Thank you. Anyway, but when I wanted to bring this up too, because I was looking, and again, I was exactly like you were when I looked at the lineup of the Yankees in the preseason. Obviously, nobody foresaw that 4 pitchers were going to have career years all at the same time. But I was also looking at the overall, when you look outside of Judge, you know, these guys are only hitting, and I'm a big DJ fan. You know that. Don't mistake this for anything other, except that they're all hitting around. You know, he's hitting 250, and Hicks isn't hitting, and Joey Gallo I can't even look at anymore, to be quite honest with you. But are we getting complacent? You know, DJ LeMahieu, we expect him to hit more than 260, which is where he is now. I just wonder, are we getting complacent and Judge has taken that whole lead that everybody else can play mediocre baseball in the plate? I don't know. You know what I'm talking about? Like, wouldn't you expect more than 260 with 3 home runs and 19 ribbies from
I
DJ
mean, we're talking
LeMahieu.
DJ LeMahieu. Yeah, I mean 260, but I've come to the conclusion that if you look across the Major League Baseball and what the average batting average is, and so on and so forth, we've
Yeah.
talked about it. The pitching is more dominant than the hitting, and it's been this way for years now. Like it's I can't home run strikeout. The averages are what they are, and I hate it. I do.
I
So,
do
and I
too.
hate having to think that, well, DJ LeMahieu at 260 20 years ago would equate to 312,
Tony Gwynn, yeah, he had 330, right?
something along those lines, right? Um, but
That's my point. That's the reason I brought it up.
now, can the Yankees do this throughout the year? I don't know. I mean, the fact that where they are right now, there's only like a handful of previous Yankee teams that have gotten off to a start like this.
Yeah,
And you know what? They've all won the World Series pretty much. So the
yeah.
way they're going, and again, I don't put much stock in. Well, those teams won the World Series, so therefore the Yankees will win the World Series this year. But
And by the way, Derek Cole seems to have figured out how to be one of the best pitchers in the game without Spider Tack. Just saying.
hey, listen, I root for Garrett Cole. I said that. Jim Walsh and I are a loyal listener. Jim and I talk, once a week at least, and I'm not backing down whatsoever from the Spider Tag thing with Garrett Cole. But it's long enough now where it's about a year now, right? Where he's adjusted. And the fact is this guy is a supremely talented pitcher.
Yep.
Okay. But I'm not backing down from that Spider Tag
Okay.
enhances a pitcher's ability. I'm not.
All right. I'm just saying.
Okay.
I thought you put too much credence in it. That's all I'm saying.
I don't think so. And I'm not changing my opinion.
All right. So baseball is about what, a quarter of the way done, a little more than a quarter of the way done.
Yeah, I mean, here we are in June, and the Midsummer Classic is early July. So yeah,
Yep.
we're getting there.
So obviously, I know Mike Garvey's sitting on pins and needles because we got to talk. We got to talk about the French Open.
Yes.
Rafael Nadal is in the finals, looking for his 14th French Open, and we just people keep writing off. I don't keep writing him off, but he just did turn 36, and he's going to win his 14th French Open. Beating Djokovic was obviously the quarterfinal match during the week, and a lot of people just kind of wrote it in that it was still Djokovic's time. And I kept telling people, but this is Roland Garros. Rafael Nadal owns this place. This could be his last. We thought that last time he won it. But what are your thoughts on him?
Well, when I look at Rafael Nadal as a 36-year-old guy, I don't look at him. I don't see 36.
No.
This guy's ripped, man. Right? And I love the fact that he beat Jokic. I love it. We're Rafi fans.
We are.
We respect Joker. We respect his talent. I don't like the guy. So
I don't either.
Those two play. I'm all in on Nadal. And of course, the French Open is this guy, Rafael Nadal owns the French Open. And I see no reason whatsoever that Nadal doesn't win another one.
But it really is, like I said, that there's, we have seen his career from day one, and now he's literally 36, going for a 14th major title at the French Open. It's really unbelievable. And like I said, we know it, all good things must come to an end. But right now, he is refusing to give it up. And when you say rip, that guy is as chiseled an athlete as there is in sport. It's great. I love it.
And Rafi has sustained injury after injury after injury. And what does he do? He doesn't really always rush back.
Not at all. No.
He's missed time. He's missed chunks of time. right?
Last couple of years,
So,
yeah.
so when he rehabs injuries, he does it the right way. He comes back, and again, whose name is missing from this? It's Roger Federer. We have to think Roger is done. Okay, like he's done. Right? There's nothing more for Roger Federer to really prove
Accomplish.
to come back, and especially if he does come back, in my opinion, with these young guns and the youth and that he's going to go up against. Roger Federer, all time great, all time
And
one of our
that's
all
a
time favorite athletes. And my
period.
point is, Rafi's 36, and I don't see him slowing down for at least another 2 years.
Well, that's
He's
what the
not.
hope is. And you're right. The way you and I have grown up watching tennis, and Garvey watches tennis, for years, since the Borg, McEnroe, Connors, even the latest, Rod Laver. I barely remember him, at the end of his career. But you're right. We've talked about it before that these guys, Djokovic, Nadal, I just want, at some point that end is going to come for Nadal. But right now, what a surprise! I mean, it's similar to, remember when Jimmy Connors made the U.S. Open final when he was like, what, 34, maybe same age, 35 possibly.
Yeah, and I
It's just
think
great to see. And we're going to lose these guys, but right behind them, on both the men's and women's side, we talked about Alcaraz and Cilic and Tsitsipas and all these young studs. Rafael Nadal's majors are going to come to an end, but right now they're going to win another 14th title at Roland Garros.
Oh, there's no question about it.
And Steve, on the women's side, there's some pretty interesting stuff. And we mentioned it a little bit last week that most of the top seeds, on the women's side got knocked out. So we got a final. This Iga Swiatek, right? Polish tennis player, number one in the world. She's won I think 38, whatever, Rob, if you can confirm that, straight matches. And she's in the finals against exactly what we were talking about on the men's side, the young guns on the women's side, Coco Gauff. And she's been a darling for, 3 years now, and she came up, and she's probably only 19 years old now. She's going up against the number one player in the world in the French Open on the women's side. Pretty cool to see.
No question about it. But again, not Rafael Nadal, the headline of the French Open, men's and women's side, it's Rafael Nadal, period.
But it would be quite a story if Coco Gauff wins this thing and Nadal wins it. It reminds me, not that they're dating or anything, but remember the picture at the U.S. Open in 1974 when Chris Evert and Jimmy Connors both won and they were going out at the time. That's a classic picture. Remember, both holding up the trophies. It's pretty cool.
No, absolutely, no question.
But that French Open, and I think that's going on right now. The women may be going on right now. A little crazy with the time change, but Steve, let's just move on. First of all, I wanted to say that the tennis was sponsored by Lynch Toyota, and President Lynch of Lynch Toyota sent us an email during the week. And Rob, just so you know, he's a big Hartford Whalers guy. He grew up in Connecticut, so he noticed right away when the logo in the background, and he gave us a 2 thumbs up. So thanks to Mike Lynch and Lynch Toyota, and I'm glad he liked the Hartford Whalers logo. Steve, let's touch base on golf, because it was something you and I talked about the other day, this whole Saudi Golf League, and we've talked ad nauseum about it before. But one of the biggest names in the game of golf.
Wait, Swiatek beat Gauff. It's over.
Okay.
So she's the French Open champion.
No surprise. She hasn't lost in about a year and a half, so it's pretty good. Congratulations to her.
Yep.
But Steve, one of your favorites, Dustin Johnson, right? The big name, marquee name, going to the Saudi League. So what impact does that have on his career? Well, we know it's already happened because sponsors have pulled their sponsorship of him because of it. And
the other impact it has is I'm not a Dustin Johnson fan anymore. This was one of my top guys,
I
and
know it was.
I'm
You
done
picked
with
him for every major in the past 3 years.
I'm done with him. Listen, I don't begrudge the guy 125 million. I understand that, but it's Phil Mickelson got absolutely eviscerated, right? For the talk of this, Dustin Johnson to me just soiled his reputation beyond repair. Good
Wow.
luck, have fun out there, but I'm done with Dustin Johnson. I can't condone taking a paycheck from those people.
Yeah.
I'll leave it at that.
And we know, listen, the historical thing of it from a humanities perspective is deplorable beyond belief. And that's I think what your point is
That's
saying,
exactly what my point is.
right. And with
That's
with
blood money.
Dustin Johnson playing, in that tournament, and he still gets to play in the major PGA championships, I believe, because it's not governed by the PGA Tour. But you're right. When I first saw it, I said, "Oh no, not this guy." All the B players, the Westwoods, the Garcias, that we got because they could make more money there than they can on. But Dustin Johnson is still a viable top 5 player on the PGA Tour and could win many more majors, but he decided that money, and listen, if you and I were in a position, we don't know what we would take, but in this situation, if my fallback was making $20 million a year on the PGA Tour from sponsorships and all that, I think I would stay there and not soil my reputation, as you brought up. You're right.
Again, I want to make it crystal clear. I don't begrudge Dustin Johnson for 125 million and securing his family's fortune for God forever probably.
How many yachts can you water ski behind, as Gordon Gekko once said?
Right. And
Anyway.
Again, this is just my personal opinion. I'm done with Dustin Johnson, and it's been bothering me for a few days here because
I knew it would.
I really thought a lot of him, and
I knew it would. I had to bring it up though because
of course
it was important. Yeah.
I was going to bring it up.
Yeah. But listen, as far as golf goes, the real golf today is Jack's tournament. This weekend, the Memorial in Ohio.
Yeah.
And I was looking at the leaderboard, and there's not a lot of big names. There's still, Cameron Young or Cameron Smith is leading at eight under or something. But
right.
I don't see Scotty Scheffler's name up there. McIlroy's in, Spieth is in, but they're not in contention right now. But as we saw in the PGA, a 7-shot lead doesn't necessarily you're going to win. But the Memorial is, to me, people talk about the Tour Championship being the 5th major. This is Jack Nicklaus. This is the Memorial. To me, it's the 5th major.
Yeah, I mean, the names up there right now are Cameron Smith, K.H. Lee, Denny McCarthy, Luke List, and Billy Horschel. Right? So,
But I wanted to bring it up, Steve, because we're going to bring it up on notable passings, but the Memorial ties into an athlete we lost. And we're going to get to that. But hey,
Kevin,
Rob, I just... Go ahead,
Kevin Na resigned from the PGA Tour. Just happened.
Kevin Na, yeah. See, he was one of the young guns that was going to tear it up, kind of thing. But yeah,
more are going to follow, folks. So let's be real here.
Yeah,
it's going to come in drips and drabs. So
yeah,
more to follow here.
Yeah. Oh, no question about it. No question about it. But Rob, before we move on to our random points of interest, I wanted to bring something up. I think if you could post a picture, I became a grandfather again this week, and
I became a great grand uncle or whatever the hell I'm called for the 98th time.
I think that makes you a great uncle again.
I am a great uncle.
Yeah. But I just wanted to welcome.
I want to be referred to, folks, as great uncle going forward.
Listen, I just wanted to bring it up because I'm fortunate enough to have 2 beautiful daughters, Nicole and Danielle, and this is my 3rd grandchild. And, becoming a grandfather again, just it makes your heart melt. And look at that. I got to hold that. He's no bigger than an NFL football. It was so cute. And I wanted to, just say how proud I am of my daughters,
Oh, he's
Danielle.
not real. Where's the baby? Where's the real baby?
Right. That's one of those Hollywood prop babies, right? No, but he is real. And Hudson Joseph Miller is now part of our world. And I just couldn't be happier and prouder of my daughters, Nicole and Danielle, and the joy that they brought me. And now this little guy. And, someday he's going to be a St. Joe's Green Knight linebacker. But right now it's just something to hold and behold and just say how proud you are. And thank you, Rob, for posting the picture.
Very good, very good. And on my front, I just want to say a couple things here. My daughter Emily is getting ready to graduate high school. She was awarded the Best Actress award for Indian Hills High School. A lot of significant academic achievements. Her prom was, the other night, and as a father, daughters, for our audience guys out there that have daughters, what an emotional night, what an emotional experience to see.
Yep.
Uh,
And I'm going to go on record, Steve, right now on
There's no
Sports
experience.
Mono and Mono. Emily is a future Tony Award winner, if not Academy Award. We certainly hope so, but you know what? It's so possible because she's that good. Congratulations.
I just wanted to say how proud I am of her. It's just great.
Yeah.
How about a future show producer for the Sports Mono show?
Well, she can maybe intern for a little bit and learn from the best, Rob.
Thanks.
Yeah. So, Steve, real quick on our random points of interest, and I wanted to bring this up because, it kind of, if you're a fan of Rutgers University like we are, they kind of got shafted after a 44-15 year one-loss record this year to our nephew Brendan. What a great job he did with that pitching staff at Rutgers. And they didn't make the NCAA tournament, but they're going to make it next year. But just wanted to shout out to Brendan and say congratulations. We're very proud of the job you and Coach Owens have done at Rutgers.
No question. Rutgers 44 victories, school record, things like that. Brendan's pitching staff led the nation in strikeouts. I mean, Rutgers led the nation in hits, home runs, things like that. They have a player, Ryan Lasko, who's nominated as a sophomore for the Golden Spikes Award, which is
what a year he's had. What a
basically
hitter.
the Heisman of college baseball.
Yeah.
Now, Rutgers got off to a great start in the Big Ten tournament, but going into the tournament, chances were they had to win the Big Ten tournament because the selection committee was not going to take 3 teams from the Big Ten.
No, I get the reasons.
So Michigan wins the tournament, who is nowhere near what Michigan normally is, so they deserve to go. Maryland and Rutgers. It was between Maryland and Rutgers. Maryland, I think, beat Rutgers in the season series, and I think that was probably the tiebreaker. But you can't get any closer to getting your ticket punched and not make it. And it's very disappointing, but Rutgers baseball is going. Folks, they will be there soon enough.
And they're actually putting lights at I think what is it, Sci-Fi Stadium or so?
Right. Well, yeah. They're going to
putting lights for night games.
They're spending the money because that's what they need to do, and it's deserving. And it's not like they can't afford it, folks, because now Rutgers is eligible. They went into the Big Ten in 2015. It's 7 years. They had to wait for 5 years before they could get a slice of the Big Ten pie. And when we're talking a slice of Big Ten pie, folks, we're talking buco bucks.
Yep. But congratulations, Brendan. You guys did a great job. We're going to have Brendan on the show to talk about this kind of stuff.
Yes, we will.
One other random point, Steve. The end of the Fitzmagic era. Ryan Fitzpatrick announced his retirement. So that next step is obviously in the broadcast booth. But what a career he's had. He played for like at least 7 teams, I think, right? At least.
He's a Harvard man.
He's a Harvard man. Don't hang out with those Yale boys. Yeah.
Hey, listen, Ryan Fitzpatrick had a more than serviceable career.
No doubt.
Over
No doubt.
200 touchdown passes. You know, I think he had 170 something like interceptions, but that's not why I bring it up.
He's not going to the Hall of Fame, but he had a good
No,
career.
he's not. But this guy was a professional football quarterback, and he had a very, very excellent career. And I want to commend Ryan Fitzpatrick.
Definitely.
He's a good guy.
Yep.
He's not, you know, he's not a malcontent or anything.
Nope.
And he played for a lot of teams. And well done, Ryan Fitzpatrick, on your retirement.
Yep. And just one other random note, it's not something I'm familiar with. I bet Rob is, or maybe you are, the whole Madden, a video game thing. John Madden is on the cover of Madden. He'll be on the cover of Madden 23. The guy whose name is synonymous with it, I've never played it, but I know even my grandson plays this stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And we just lost John Madden about a year ago. And I told you, I underestimated how good he was as a coach. And I always regretted that. And I thought he was a little more overrated as a broadcaster, but you know what? He's the face of this, and he made millions, and that's the cover. Do you play Madden 23, or you do that stuff?
Yeah, I mean, my son is 16 years old.
So he's into it, right?
Well, yeah, but have I played it? Yeah, I've sat with my son and played it, and I enjoyed it. From when it started to what the graphics are now, it's just incredible.
It's like watching a game on TV.
And it's fun. It really, I enjoyed playing it. And John Madden made so much money from this.
He did.
It's incredible.
He did.
And as far as his coaching career, unlike yourself, I never wavered on John Madden. I thought John Madden was an outstanding football coach.
Yep.
And I'm so happy that he got that ring with the Raiders after, the heartbreak of, the immaculate reception and things like that. But his career record was phenomenal. And,
but that's from and that's from just the obscure observation of sports and John Madden. And he just passed, so I thought it was
and it's well deserving. I'm not surprised that he's on the cover. I mean, he deserves something.
So, Steve, let's move on to our notable passings, and a couple notables here. Jeff Gladney, the former #1 draft pick of the Vikings, and then
a couple years ago.
Right, and he was cut by the Vikings after some domestic situation upon which he was cleared. Ended up getting signed by the Cardinals, but he dies tragically, 25 years old, in a car accident.
Yeah, him and his girlfriend as well passed. So, hey, that's a tough thing. Again, speeding is involved in that, and it's unfortunate. But R.I.P. Way too young.
Yeah, and we lost another guy in another athlete, Bart Bryant. I know you know who he is, former PGA Tour, and this is who I was referencing before. Of today's the Memorial. He's a former Memorial champion, and he was 59 years old. He had a brother also in the PGA Tour. He was 59 years old, and he won 3 times on the tour. But I remember him playing. But winning the Memorial, that's a big deal to me. Like I said, that's the 5th major.
Yeah, I remember Bart Bryant, absolutely. And, again, 59 years old.
Car accident.
You and I are approaching that age, getting there. And, we expect to not go at 59. And that's unfortunate.
Right.
R.I.P. Bart Bryant.
Yeah. And there was one other NFL player, Marion Barber, who I know you know very well, played for your Dallas Cowboys for a while. I remember his father playing for the Jets years and years ago.
Of course.
But he was only 38, 39, something
38,
like that.
38, I think he was.
Yeah.
Made the Pro Bowl in 2004, I think it was. Listen, he had a serviceable career. There's no
He
question
did.
about it.
He
He
did.
lived in the Texas area near the Cowboys, and
Yep.
Marion Barber III did have some issues. I'm not
He
sure what
did.
they were,
He
but
did.
again,
Yep.
38 years old. That's way.
And one other notable, and I know my sister is listening, our sister Mary Ellen, she's really into the horses and the whole Kentucky thing, but Sarah Ramsey passed away, and she was very prominent in the thoroughbred business, had a lot of horses. Her horses owned, she had 510 wins, all-time leader at Churchill Downs.
Yeah.
And she was, her husband was Ken, this cute, older couple, and they got into there. Reminds you of Secretariat's owners, Penny, and all those. But she was 83 years old, and that's notable. So I know, Mary Ellen, you're listening, and we wanted to make sure that we covered her passing because she was very nice. And I think her horses, her husband gave her the nickname of Kitten. So a lot of her famous horses were something kittens. And she was very charming woman and very prominent in that business. And she was 83.
Yep. R.I.P.
Yep. So listen, everybody, thanks for joining us, Steve. Glad to have you back with the technical issues resolved. Rob, thanks for everything. And thanks for
Rob,
letting
thank
me,
you.
be proud of this little grandchild that's just come into the world. And we talked about the terrible things that have been happening in society lately. So we don't take anything for granted. And we thank you guys for joining us. And please send us an email, of course, at sportswithmanoandmano@gmail.com.
Well, your new grandson is really going to look good in silver and blue and white.
Okay.
Really.
Let's get him to St. Joe's before we get him to the Cowboys first. Right? Thanks for joining us, everybody. We'll catch you guys next week.
Okay. Thanks, everybody.
Enjoy the week.